The following video is a coaching call that I did this morning with one of my clients. This poor guy's name is Oliver, and as you guys know, I shoot direct with people, I cut straight to the point, and I take no prisoners whenever it comes to being real with people about the problems they're facing in their trading, so that way they can solve them and actually get results trading. What you're going to see here in this video is me and Oliver discuss a variety of trading topics, a variety of personal life optimization habits, and other things that he can do in order to make progress in his trading going forward, including some technical, tactical details such as what to track in your trading journal to learn when it is okay to shift from a black and white absolute trading methodology that you're using to get experience over to a more intuitive, discretionary based trading approach. You're going to learn all of that here in this video. It's about an hour long. I really enjoyed doing this call with Oliver. He's an incredibly sharp person from Germany. He's close to my age, and he's doing his best to learn how to get profitable trading so that he can take care of him, his wife, and his kids. I hope you enjoy this video. For one, like, it's hard enough to trade profitably, right? Like that's something like less than 5% of people ever get. And then low single digit percentages of people make enough money to trade and live off of long term. It's just unbelievably difficult. Like it's just as hard as being a doctor, if not harder. And whenever I recognize, okay, it's hard enough to trade, teaching is like 10 times harder. Teaching is insanely difficult just because to take what you know and to try to put that into words and present it in a way that is going to connect with other people, where other people will be able to actually like kind of latch onto it, and they have like they have aha moments and it connects and they're able to say, okay, that makes sense. And then they can go and apply that on their own. Dude, that is like 5 to 10 times harder than trading. Like teaching is very, very difficult. There's a lot of people that know how to trade really well, but then they try to teach others and they find it very difficult and challenging because not everybody thinks the same, obviously. Everybody has different perspectives and mindsets, and everybody has different values, and they have different ways that they structure their thinking in such a way where they collect evidence and use that evidence to make assumptions, observations, and conclusions about reality. And a lot of people really struggle to do that in a way that is kind of like in alignment with reality because of the way a lot of people think. And it's not their fault. It's just some people are pre-wired differently cognitively. And so I find that it's been difficult to do that. And since most people like myself are retarded, I try to just make things retardedly simple. And apparently it helps every now and then, as you've said, and as a couple other people have said here and there. So I'm glad it helps.
It really does. Funny enough, I heard that most people that succeed in trading are actually having some kind of mental disability or had emotional trauma as a kid. So I don't know, maybe it makes a difference too.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me that people who decide to do something like trading where you get mentally and emotionally flogged basically every day. Like you're right sometimes, you're wrong sometimes, you have really good winning days, you have really bad losing days. And to just be able to sit through all that and shrug your shoulders and be like, yeah, I mean, it's okay. You know, the stats play out long term. I make a little more than I lose. You have to be like maybe not a psychopath, but like pretty close to the rungs on the spectrum, borderline psychopath, to just be like, they'll just be like, "Hey, Oliver, man, you lost $20,000 today. You good?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, man, having a coffee, making some scrambled eggs, and me and my wife are gonna go for a walk in the park later." And they're just like, "Wow, Oliver, I would be losing my mind if I lost like 20,000 euro in a day." And you're just like, "Yeah, you know, it's unfortunate, but you know that's part of it." And then you have days where you make like 40,000 in a day. And then other people are like, that's so crazy, man. That's like how much I make in a year. Oliver, I would kill to be able to have your life. And then you're just like, yeah, I mean, it's cool, but you know, I might lose it all tomorrow. So let's just see how it goes.
It's literally how I feel. Losing feels so much more devastating than making money for some reason. But
And do you know why
I
that's the case? Have you ever learned why that's the case?
I heard something about it, but I'm not sure if I can recall it.
Yeah, like the simple way to put it, like in short, is like human evolution evolved in such a way where we were prone to take more risks when we were losing. So, for example, if you were evolving in a tribal village 1,000 years, not even 1,000, probably like 10,000 years ago or more, because modern humans, Homo sapiens, have existed for about 200,000 to 300,000 years in the past history. And we lived in groups of like small, like hunter-gatherer tribes, basically, like before agriculture came around, like 10 to 15,000 years ago. And we would go out and hunt and gather berries and hunt wild animals and shit. And whenever you were struggling for food and shelter and you were freezing to death and you were starving to death, taking more risk was the best thing to do, because losing, whenever you lost, bro, you fucking die. So this is why humans, like, their risk aversion just fucking like drops. Like, and they're like, dude, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll go out, because going out and hunting the woolly mammoth when you're about to die, if you do it, there's a chance you might actually win. So you get the TP hit on the woolly mammoth, bro. You like kill the woolly mammoth, you get food. There's a chance if you wander far enough away from your village, 30 to 50 people, that you might find some berries. And if you stay in your village, you know for a fact you're going to die. You're going to starve to death. You're going to freeze to death. You're not going to live. But if you go out, there's a chance that you might actually win. You might get that TP hit in terms of finding berries or a woolly mammoth. So it made more sense to take risk back then whenever you were down bad on your luck and things were not working out. And then also, let's say, for example, whenever you win a trade, right? You've told me that that does not feel as good emotionally as it does feel bad whenever you lose a trade, right? So even if you win 20,000 or you lose 20,000, losing 20,000 hurts a lot more than the pleasure you get from making 20,000, even though it's an identical situation, just inverted. And so what the case was is whenever humans were doing really good, when you had plenty of food, plenty of warmth, plenty of shelter, you got plenty of women to fuck in your village and everything's going good, you become more risk averse because you're like, man, I don't want to lose what I already have. I want to protect it. I do not want to risk any extra. This is why a lot of people close winning trades early, because of this same psychological concept. They have, I have 5,000 like in profit, and I know it could go to the $20,000 profit target, but man, I've got the money right here, and I don't want to lose this 5,000 because the loss hurts more than the profit that you get when you make it. And so what people will do is whenever they were doing really good, they would not go out and take unnecessary risks. And if you did that, you were more likely to survive because you do not take unnecessary risks. However, whenever you're down, right? So say whenever you're on a losing streak in trading, you feel the urge like, fuck, I need to take more trades. I need to take more risk. I need to get this money back because it hurts. And I feel like I'm going to die, because that's what your brain, your like reptilian primal side of your brain is telling you. Like, hey, man, like we might die. We need to go fucking get this shit back because it hurts to lose. And if we lose, then we die. The fact of the matter is even though this makes sense from an evolutionary perspective, cognitively and psychologically, it's maladaptive to today's world. Like, if you lose the next set of trades, you're probably not going to die, but your brain doesn't fucking understand the difference because it's still set in this hardwired evolutionary concepts. So the best way to approach it is to be self-aware of that, recognize when you're losing in trading, for example. You have to do the opposite of what your primal brain is telling you. You have to say, look, if this shit isn't working out, I should probably get the fuck out of the trade. I'm going to lose. Either it hits the stop loss or it's a small loss and I close it halfway to the stop loss. And fuck, sometimes you're able to close it at break even if it's just going sideways and you're no longer convinced it might bounce at that zone you traded off of. You have to invert this thinking in such a way, whereas whenever you're right, you hold on to that winning trade. It makes no sense psychologically because you're like, I have the money. What if it comes back and goes to break even or into loss? But in trading, we know what the statistics are. We know the best rule of thumb for making money trading is to close losses earlier and then hold winners longer. So if you're structuring things with a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, when things do go into profit, you hold them. You let them go. You let them run. You let it go all the way to the fucking profit target at least, if not more. And then whenever you're wrong, you do everything you can to get out, to cut that losing trade. That's what you do. And so again, this is the reasons why you have that kind of thing wired in your brain about feeling averse to losing. And this is also why you struggle to kind of hold your winning trades a little bit longer. This is the science behind it, and this is the perspective that you can craft to kind of invert that and switch it to where when you win a trade, you make more money than as compared to whenever you lose trade. The only weird problem is that you have to sit there and be kind of a psychopath and like shrug your shoulders whenever you lose and shrug your shoulders when you win. It's very funny.
That makes a lot of sense. For me personally, that is one of the problems, but I struggle more with closing trades in a small loss. For me, it's always the hope kind of maybe it still turns around and goes at least to break even. But I have written down some questions, funny enough, about exactly these topics because I feel like for me, I know what to do. I looking at the chart, I know what to do. I'm doing that for now roughly 2 years, and I feel like I can identify good zones and mark them and just set my alert and wait for it mostly. But controlling the emotions after the technical part is like the worst for me. Without spiraling, I never moved my stop loss. I kind of did what you said in your videos from years ago to just do a one-to-one TP stop loss. I never move them, never move my stop loss, never remove them. So the worst that happens is the stop loss, but closing it even before the stop loss feels like losing the possibility of a potential win, which feels awful. But that's one of the things I'm working at.
Well, you're going to continue to grow as a trader. You'll continue to grow as a person. And most importantly for you, you'll continue to grow as a husband. So, I mean, you pretty much have a trifecta win-win-win situation here as long as you continue to get applied experience and learn from the things that don't seem to work very well and also learn from the things that do seem to work very well. And what this will allow you to do is it'll allow you to slowly over time start kind of, let's just say, evolving your mindset and mental perspective in such a way where you
Mhm.
can do those things effortlessly that you just said right now that you struggle to do already. Right? You're like, oh man, it could come back. Yeah, it's in a small loss. It's halfway to the stop. It looks like it's not going to work out. I'm already convinced it's not going to work out. And yet I hold the fucking trade because I think, well, maybe if it
Yeah.
comes back, I'll be able to get out at break even. I completely get it.
So did you kind of figure out, or rather, how did you figure out to lose your emotions in a sense when you look at charts nowadays? Or did you ever had that feeling in the first place when you just started? Like when you were in my shoes, kind of.
I think restructuring the question would be a little bit more helpful. So restructuring the question to essentially say, how did you learn to not let your emotions negatively impact your trading?
Yeah.
That's a better question, and that's probably what you mean. Just because, like, I mean, dude, like I still get emotions in trading, dude. I wake up some days and I'm in like a $50,000 profit, like today, and then like tomorrow it could go to like negative 20K loss. And I'm like, fuck, I had all these trades that were in profit. If only I had just bitched out like a pussy and just closed them, then I would be in profit. And then now I could just re-enter them here at the better prices. Um, so I think, yeah, the question is like, how do I manage it? The simple answer, dude, this is not a sexy answer, and it's not an answer that inspires most people, but the simple answer is that I just got more and more experience. It took me about 4 years, right? From like the beginning of 2016 in March when I started trading up until probably
Mhm.
like maybe midway through 2020. So about 4 years, give or take, where I finally just learned, like, you know what? I've been through this a million times. I have not a million, right? But like 1,000 times. I win a trade and then I lose a trade and I win a trade and I lose a trade. And I was on this roller coaster of feeling amazing, overwhelmingly delusionally confident on a win streak, and then questioning reality and getting suicidal tendencies, figuratively speaking, whenever I'm on a losing streak. And so I just kind of learned, I'm like, you know what? If this is how trading is going to be, like for the rest of my life, like the win streaks and losing streaks, I'm gonna have to craft a kind of mental perspective that enables me to more productively manage this type of shit, this emotional psychotic mindset. So what I learned, and this is kind of the key here, is like with enough applied experience, I'm like, all right, the facts are I'm gonna win trades, I'm gonna lose trades, and it's not helpful for me at all to like bitch about it when I lose and get too rejoicing whenever I win. So I learned, okay, whenever I have those emotions, I kind of have to just recognize, like, yeah, I mean, this is a feeling screaming at me, like, oh man, take the profit, close it early, or like, hey man, it's in a loss.
Mhm.
Just keep holding the loss, dude. Just hold it. Like if it blows the account, it's okay. I kind of had to craft a mental perspective to kind of help me be like, okay, I feel these emotions, but they're not productive to like respond to. So instead of using my emotions as a tool for helping me make decisions in trading, which generally are detrimental for a lot of people, including myself, because I'm no exception, I've just learned like, okay, I just kind of have to like shrug my shoulders at the emotions and say, yeah, I mean, I feel like closing it early, but it is a winning trade. It looks like it's going to continue going. So the best decision 90% of the time is probably to just hold it. And so I kind of have to shrug my shoulders and do this psychotic thing to do, which is just like, nope, it hurts and it's painful, but you have to be like this sadomasochist and like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna hold this trade even though it hurts because it's in profit, and the best decision is to continue holding it. And you also have to do the inverted thing as well. Whenever it's in drawdown and you feel it's no longer going to work, you're like, it's a third of the way to the stop loss. Let me just close it. I think it's not going to work. Sure, it may come back and it may hit my break even and then bounce and go down further, or it may actually go all the way back into profit. But like you're like, I have it. I no longer think it's going to work out. It's broken the zone. It's closed below the zone on maybe like the daily or a couple 4 hour candles. And you're like, I don't think it'll work anymore. And even though your emotions are screaming at you, come on, Ollie, just hold it, man. Back to break even, man. You can get a break even on this. You just kind of have to
Yeah.
shrug your shoulders and say, Yeah, I mean, with the better decision is probably to just close it right now, just in case it continues going against me, because I know I'm going to take a small loss if I close it right now, and that's better than rolling the dice on a potentially bigger loss on a trade you already are no longer convinced is going to work. So again, the short answer is it just took time and experience for me, about like 4.5 years. And then the actual manifestation of that experience was me just kind of shrugging and kind of like not giving too much validity and merit to the emotions that negatively impact my trading. So again, I still get them, but I just manage them in a different way. It's kind of like a homeless person yelling at you on the streets of Frankfurt. They're like yelling at you and they're screaming about something because they have like schizophrenia or something. If you start listening to them, you're going to start like getting kind of worried and questioning reality. But if you just kind of shrug your shoulders and keep walking on and say, this is not productive for me to listen to this person, like then, yeah, I mean, it's like a 1 minute ordeal and then you're past them and you could take a deep breath as you go into the coffee shop and open up your laptop to lose another $20,000 for the day.
So would you say it feels still the same, but you just learn to manage it better?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's an easy way of summing it up. Yeah.
Okay. So what I would try to make a question out of is you earlier said that even nowadays you sometimes question reality and if it's even gonna work or not. Like, how do you deal with these kind of emotions or thoughts even during the day? Is it not just occupying your head? Because for me personally, I the only thing mostly I think about now is trading. It's literally not going out of my head. I open a trade and it stays in my head, even if I close the charts. Any like, how do you deal with things like that?
So a lot of this came from experience, sure, but I think, you're after like, what's the fucking actual technique and stuff. And one of the gold standards of doing this is this in the same way you might manage things like for example, like intrusive thoughts, rumination, obsessive compulsive kind of like thought patterns. And it is a form of it's like a scientific approach to it called cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's a part of
Mhm.
psychiatry. So have you ever heard about this before?
No, I've not.
Okay. Do you struggle with things like anxiety and depression at all?
I was never tested. I hope not. I had, well, the depressive, I could say I had phases where I experienced how a real depression feels like, but I think I'm pretty much over that. So I know how it feels like, but I'm not hopefully still having it. So,
Okay. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT in psychiatry is basically like reframing shit in your brain to make it not matter as much and not affect your emotions in a negative way as much. And so the way you go about doing this is you challenge the shit that you currently think and you challenge it in a way where you start really accepting all the potential like downsides and negative parts of it. And then what that does is it starts making like the sharpness and the like kind of the emotional texture less intense. So it's like you still get the same thoughts. So like you may
mhm.
get the same thoughts like, fuck, let me close this trade early, even though it's working out. It looks like it's going to go to the profit target. And you would even say yourself, like, yeah, I think this is probably going to go. Like, there's no reason to like close. But you think like, but I've lost like the last trade, and that last trade was a partial loss. So if I close this here in a partial profit, I'm back to break even. And so you decide to close like a bitch. And so like, it's one of these things where how do you manage that? Cognitive behavioral therapy is a way that essentially teaches you to question those negative thoughts and negative ruminations and negative like obsessive compulsive thought patterns in such a way where you restructure it. So for example, you would then respond like normally you'd be like, okay, I have a winning trade and I want to close it early. That's the normal like low status decision generally in trading. Like sometimes it's good to close a winning trade and profit if it's almost there and the market's about to close. So yes, there's exceptions and there's nuances, there's granularity, there's texture there. But whenever it comes to trading, you know that the better decision is to hold the trades and profit to the original profit target, especially if it's only 1-to-1 risk reward ratio like you and I are doing. It's very like simple. So the way to approach it would be like, okay, you know what? Like, yes, I hear those thoughts coming in saying I should close the trade early, but then I also kind of know that the rational side of things is to hold it. And so what you do is you start saying like, I know that this decision over here, even though it feels weirder, this is going to get me better results. It's going to be more productive, more efficient, more effective to be able to just hold the winning trades a little bit longer. And so what you start doing is you become aware of those negative thought patterns and you become aware of those
Mhm.
kind of rumination spirals like close, 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 check the chart every 5 minutes, like be worried about it, like all that shit. And what you do is you recognize, like, look, these are valid thoughts and feelings, but they're not really good to act on right now, because I know the better decision logically and rationally, even though it feels fucking insane, is to just hold the trade. That's the simple explanation. And so what you start doing is you start saying, okay, I am going to acknowledge these thoughts and feelings are here, but instead, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to base any action off of them. I'm just going to accept that they're there and kind of be like, yeah, okay, I could hold it, and then it goes back to break even and lose the trade. Sure, that's fine. But I
Mm-hmm.
do know statistically the better decision is just to hold the trade. And so you kind of shrug your shoulders at the thoughts and feelings and emotions that are negative and influencing you to do stupid shit in your trading, like closing winning trades early and holding losing trades longer. And you start ignoring those thoughts in a way where you're not trying to ignore them actively, you're not trying to push them away, but you kind of accept that they're there, but you treat it like the homeless person yelling on the street in Frankfurt. You're like, okay, like, I don't have to listen, I don't have to. This person thinks the world is about to end and then the meteor is going to strike and the government's trying to control your brain. I don't have to like take that to heart. I can just hear that and know, like, okay, yes, that's kind of crazy. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing though, which is walking forward and going on with my life. That's how you apply it in trading. So it's a way of reframing your perspective in such a way where you recognize those thoughts are there that are leading you, let's say, astray, for example, but you do not latch onto them in a way that is emotionally identifying with them. You just kind of shrug your shoulders and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, these thoughts right here are like a homeless man yelling. It's not important for me to listen to them right now. I know the better decision. The better decision is to just keep walking, which is to hold the trade in this case.
Okay, that makes sense. That's actually really good advice. So, as a short answer, that would probably just allow the thought, but don't act on it, and kind of train yourself to not listen to it.
Yeah,
As
a lot of people they get into this kind of like mindset, right, where they're like, how do I just not listen to my thoughts? How do I ignore my thoughts? My thoughts and my feelings and sensations, like, they're valid and I have to give them credit and, merit, and I have to like validate myself with them. It's not that those things aren't true. It's just that you have to recognize like what thoughts and feelings and emotions and mindset perspectives get you in the direction that you want to go. Like, they get you in an area that you're optimizing for. Like, you already know for a fact, if you listen to negative ruminating thoughts, for one, the problem usually doesn't get solved because your brain is more muddled with all those bullshit that is the clusterfuck of negative thoughts. But on top of that, you do know that even if you just listen to the thoughts and you continue to like let them ruminate and like take over you, it doesn't make you feel good either, right? So like doing the thing like
uh,
holding the winning trade longer or walking past the homeless man screaming, like, it doesn't always make you feel the best. But like, if you listen to the negative thoughts, then it's just going to make you feel worse anyway, and that's probably going to impact your judgment in a negative way, and then you're going to get shittier results anyway. So it's kind of like recognizing that and stepping out of your brain and the
mhm.
automaticity of all these automatic thoughts that come, and not identifying with them in a way that affects your decision making and actions in a way that produces negative results long term. So the better way to approach it is just to say, like, yeah, I've got all these crazy thoughts going, but like, like, they're there and they're cool and they're trying to keep me safe so I don't lose this next trade, and so I just take the profit so it doesn't come back to break even. But I'm just not going to do that. Like, the idea is to hold the winning trades longer than the losing trades. So I should probably hold this winning trade a little bit longer. So it's like not identifying with those thoughts and not letting that automaticity of thoughts coming like cascading before you, not letting it like affect your actions in a negative way. You really just have to like learn to start just shrugging your shoulders at it and saying, I accept these thoughts are here. I'm not going to try to push them away. I'm not going to try to argue with them. If they come to me and like, hey, Oliver, bro, if you don't close this winning trade, bro, like, it's gonna come back and hit break even. You have to shrug your shoulders and say, like, maybe so. Like, you're like, yeah, it could happen. And the thought's like, yeah, so we should close it. And you're like, no, we have to hold the winning trade. I'm sorry, but that's the better decision that results in a statistical probability I'm going to make more profit long term. And you kind of, and once you do this, you get into the habit of it over and over, becoming self aware when those thoughts happen. It allows you to start being able to make those decisions more and more effortlessly, even if it feels really weird in the moment, dude. There's moments where I'm like, this trade has a $50,000 profit target and it's in a $40,000 profit right now. It's almost there. I could be done with my trading day if I just close this damn trade right now, and it's a $40,000 profit. It's 80% of the way to the profit target. But usually I have to kind of like moderate myself and be like, that's a bitch move, and I am no bitch. Then I have to hold this trade because it's working. There's no technical reason to like close it early. If there is, sure, you can close the trade early. That's fine. But if you set up the trade beforehand, it's a reasonable target, reasonable invalidation, stop loss location, and your entry is really good because it's like at the zone or inside the support resistance zone you're trading off of. Then yeah, the best idea is to hold it. So you have to fight that inner bitch, but you fight it in a way that's very passive and very like nonchalant, just like casually dismissive. The thoughts are like, Oliver, close the trade, and you're like, that's a good one, and you just keep holding the trade.
And this point, my thoughts are kind of conflicting itself. I'm doing basically what you said, I don't know, quite a while ago. I watched every single video, so I don't know exactly which one it was, but um, where 6 months you just hold to TP or to the stop loss for a matter of 6 months. So that's basically what I'll do for the last 7 months. But I'm doing the same stuff for 2 years now, and I feel like I have a very good feeling of if a zone is gonna hold or not, if I should hold or not. But then every time it goes against me, I think, but maybe I should hold it still because I agreed to just hold it to stop loss or TP. And I don't know exactly when should I start listening to my intuition and to my feeling instead of holding on to the rule, and also recognizing that is it actually my intuition or is it just my emotion right now telling me close that shit or not? It's my thoughts are usually when my trade is open are around that. If I close early now, either loss on profit, is it my emotion? Is it my intuition? Am I breaking my rule now? Am I stepping backwards in my experience now? Am I kind of kicking myself again? Or in this case, I don't know. Do you have some recommendation, or at what point would you say it's maybe good to stop sticking to such a rule and just trust your guts?
Yeah, so this is great set of questions. Um, so this hinges upon like the false dichotomy of is this my emotion or is this intuition, right? Because like you say, like oh, like
Yeah.
you hear people say on the internet all the fucking time, like, oh, you shouldn't trade emotionally, Oliver. Like that's for bitches, and you are no bitch. Like, and of course, sure, that may be the case, yes. But the way you get intuition, which is basically just applied experience that generates the wisdom to allow you the discretion to close a winning trade early if you need to, or hold the winning trade longer to the profit target if you feel it's the best decision. Um, there is basically no line that divides emotion from intuition, right? Because intuition rises as a result of a feeling that you get from having so much experience, right? So it's like riding a
Mhm.
bike. I could teach you in a college classroom, like Oliver, here's how the angular acceleration of the wheels of the bike keep you up, and then like the turning the handlebars at 12 degrees while leaning 6 degrees in the right direction will help you be the most optimized way of going. You don't need to learn all this shit, dude. I give you a bike and I'm like, here's the fucking bike. Go try to ride it for 6 months. 6 months down the line, you're gonna be better at riding the damn bike, and you're gonna be better in a way where you cannot explain. And then if I tell you like, Oliver, I noticed whenever you were turning left, you turned the handlebars at a 14-degree angle and then you leaned 7 degrees in that direction. Why'd you do that? You won't even be able to describe what you're like. I just felt like that was the best thing to do. And then imagine if I sat here like a dumbass and I told you, you're riding the bike emotionally, Oliver. Like it's not your intuition, it's emotion. There's no difference. And so, what I would first say is the framework you're approaching it from right now, which is giving 3 to 6 months to just let the trades hit the TP or the stop loss, that is just, of course, it's not the way you'll trade forever, but it is a way to collect that experience that you can then apply to your trading, which, we just call this applied experience creatively. And then whatever you do with that, that then generates that discretion, that wisdom, that intuition to be able to make, quote unquote, better decisions long term, hopefully. And so I would recognize that it seems like it's a dichotomy. Oh, are you trading with emotion or are you trading with intuition? And how do you learn to kind of like trust which one is which? There's no separation. Those two things are one and the same, right? It's like you can't have life without death. It's the same thing. You can't have intuition without emotion. Emotion is what generates those sensations, those feelings, those thoughts that tell you time to hold the trade a little bit longer because it's in profit. That's the best decision. So what I would do is continue to get enough experience trading in demo or small live account for like 6 months, like you're already doing. Let the trades hit the TP, let the trades hit the profit target. And then what you can do is in your trading journal, I'll hit the pause button right here for a second. Are you tracking your trades in a Discord server yet or no?
I'm tracking in a Google Sheet.
Okay, okay, Sheets are yeah, perfectly fine. Discord's a little bit easier, but Google Sheets give you the same thing. There's no problem. Perfect. So what you can start doing is you can start saying, like, create a new column in your Google Sheet that says like, here's what my intuition says I should do, and then in real time while the trade is still playing out, obviously you're going to let it hit TP or let it hit stop loss. You'll roughly win 50%, lose 50% of trades, and this allows you the ability to get experience. But create a new column in that Google Sheet, and then add to that column, say just put like intuition or discretionary decision or subjective action. Just name it something like intuition, and then in that column, you then start saying, okay, whenever the trade was right here at this location, my intuition tells me it'd probably be better to close the trade early at a loss or close the trade early before the profit target, whatever. But you don't
Hmm.
actually do that, right? You hold the trade on your actual terminal or in the trading view or the trading view thing. Let it hit TP or stop loss, but put in what your decision was, and then in a column next to that, you put the results of what that intuition was. So if you say, okay, trade's halfway to the stop loss, I think it's going to hit stop. I think it's a better time to close. So my idea is to close it right here. Then what you do is in a column next to that intuition column, you put like outcome. And if the outcome of your decision would have been a more profitable decision, so for example, you say, okay, I'm going to close the trade early because it's halfway to the stop loss, and then you come back to the trade 2 or 3 days later, and it ends up actually having hit the stop loss. You then like for the outcome, you can either put profitable or not profitable. And what you can do is you can say, had I closed this trade early, the net outcome would have been that I took lower of a loss because that ended up hitting the stop loss. And so you will put the decision to close early would have been a profitable outcome. And then what you'll do is you keep doing this over and over, right? You have a winning trade and it's 3/4 of the way to the profit target. And then you say, I'm using my intuition to close it early. So you put in there, I'm going to close it early at the 75% profit target, like 75% of the way. And of course, you still let the trade play out. You still let it hit TP or stop loss. And then let's say it ends up having gone all the way to the TP. So then what you do is you put in that outcome column next to the intuition column. You say, this would have been a non-profitable outcome. It would not have been a good decision because it would have gone all the way to the profit target. And then what you do is the more as you go along, you will start to notice that there's either a trend between your decisions resulting in more of more non-profitable outcomes, or you'll notice that there's a trend in creating more profitable outcomes. And what you do is whenever you're doing that in demo and you're tracking this in your sheet in your trading journal, what you'll notice is after a bit of time, it usually takes most people 3 to 6 months minimum. For some people, it takes up to a year, and that's perfectly fine. For fuck's sake, most people never get profitable. If it takes you just a year, only a year to do this is amazing. What you'll notice over time is like that column for the outcomes starts filling up with saying like this would have been more profitable had I used my intuition there. Then you know that yes, you're still trading with emotion, sure. Like, yeah, everyone trades with emotion. Like emotions are what generate that intuition. But you'll start noticing that that intuition can be trusted. It does have the merit and credibility to be relied upon to make trading decisions that are more productive and more net profitable as compared to sticking to the quote unquote rule, which is hold the TP or hold the stop loss. So you use the TP or stop loss and let it hit either one to build the experience, but then you start inserting what you think are the better decisions in your trading journal while leaving the original trade open. You start saying, okay, my intuition says to close it right here, 50% of the way to the stop loss. And then you put that there. And then in that column next to it, you put the outcome, which is like more was profitable or non-profitable. Did it result in
Hmm.
like less gains to your account or more profit to your account? If it was a good decision, put profitable. If it turned out to not be a good decision, put non-profitable. And when you start noticing that more and more of those boxes in your spreadsheet are profitable decisions, then you know you can start switching from the black and white rules-based approach, just to give you structure. You can start switching from that to actually start using your discretion more in trading. And then what a lot of people see is whenever they start using that discretion, which is your only edge in trading, is your subjective determination of what to do and what's best given the context, you'll start to notice that it actually generates more profitability long term. So what I've just explained to you is the framework of you doing one-to-one reward ratios and letting it hit stop or target. This is good. It gives you that applied experience. It's good. And then a way to get from that, is it emotional or is it intuition, is to recognize they're one and the same. But sure, there are decisions that are more profitable than not, regardless of whether we label them as emotional or not. So what you do is you create those two columns, one of them for like you just name it intuition, and the next thing you name it outcome. And then you will then go, and then whenever the trade did end up concluding at the stop loss or the profit target, You put whether or not your intuition was profitable or not profitable. And then after all that, you can then look at all the data and you can examine, oh shit, had I listened to my intuition for the past, say, 30 days, like of trading history, I actually would have made more profit. And below that, you can calculate the total P&L for just hitting the take profit or the stop loss. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call from my mom. This is funny. I declined the call. Oliver, you are more important than my own mother at this exact
That
moment.
is very sweet.
Yeah.
Make
Okay.
sure to call her back though. Not that she's getting angry.
No, I'll call her back for sure. Anyway, so the last thing there is like you can actually track the units of profit, right? Units of R, units of reward or risk that you would have made or lost if you would have held the trade to TP your stop loss, and then if you would have used your intuition to close the trade early and manage it dynamically. When you start noticing that, hey, for the past 30 to 60 days, I would have made more had I used my intuition, then you know it would be a reasonable time to start like switching and evolving from just using hard stop losses and take profits to then start using your intuition more. So I know that was a lot of information. So that's my response. And I'll hit the pause button right here, and then you can reflect on it here for a second. You can think about what you've done.
I think I kind of did something similar. I always held to the TP or to the profit target or to the stop loss. And I also had actually two columns. One, if I would have closed at break even, or if I sometimes used my intuition. I feel like personally that I have enough experience that I know when to close or when not, because I'm not lying. I studied these damn charts probably for the last 2 years. I sat hours and hours in front of the screen, especially when I started, and just watched how they moved. I feel like I have a good feeling, and that works pretty good in backtesting or demo. But the moment money's on the table, out the window.
Yeah.
That's the funny part because the moment I see negative numbers or positive numbers, it is it is a feeling, but also sometimes I wouldn't say scared, but maybe actually scared to lose money. Probably being scared or frustrated when money was lost. So
Yeah. It's,
not
it's,
entirely sure. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just your inner bitch and your, that little nasty creature inside you trying to protect you from from what your body and mind think is going to kill you. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like it's fine. It's understandable. It's reasonable. But,
I will try to do that for the next 3 to 6 months though. I will religiously just document that, especially the intuition part, like you said. And I just have to kill the inner bitch kind of.
yeah, you have to take that piece of shit non-alpha male beta version of you and you have to squash it like a cockroach and be like, this isn't serving me. Like, I would be better if I didn't listen to these like stupid, like silly emotions telling me to get out of every losing trade. Like, you get into the trade, it goes 5 pips against you, and the stop loss is like 100 pips away. But you're like, oh shit, it's 5 pips against me. Do I close now? Or do I wait a little bit longer? Oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't wait. No, Nick said close losses early. So then you start closing every trade at a 5 pip loss, and then it doesn't result in profitability because you don't give the trade enough flexibility to actually play out and come to fruition. But like the difference there is between like, do I close it at 5 pips loss or do I close it like 25% of the way to the stop or 50% of the way? There's no steadfast hard rules, right? That's why the beauty of this is you've got it structured simple. It could not be simpler. Is it at a support or resistance zone? If it's at a clear zone, I buy or I sell, stop loss below or stop loss above, respectively, and then a profit target at 1 to 1. This gives you a simple framework for just getting the data. And then you start using that intuition selectively to try to just make your winners a little bit bigger than what your losses are on average. Over time, it gets easier. And then you can just start like that inner bitch is kicking and screaming, like the fentanyl addicted person in Frankfurt yelling who's homeless who has schizophrenia, and you just learn to like kind of like say that's unfortunate, but I'm not going to listen to that. I'm just going to keep on going about my day. I'm going to keep on holding this winning trade longer. It does get easier over time. For me, like I'm not a saint, right? I've been trading for almost a decade. It took me a little over 4 years to develop this, so I don't expect it to be easy, but I do know that the people that learn this way of trading the way that I teach it, it does make it a lot easier for them long term. And it also makes it a lot quicker usually. Like me, it took 4 years, yeah. But had I known the shit that I know now, like it probably would have taken me 6 months to a year, maybe.
Wow, that is a lot quicker actually. And for the past months, I've been break even, sometimes in profit, couple of units of risk, sometimes couple negative. Basically break even for the past 7 months now, which is almost more frustrating than losing money. It's because at some point you would like to make some money, but I most definitely will try that. I would like to be profitable at some point, so
I would
favorably this year.
I would simultaneously like you to be profitable at some point. That would be very nice. Hopefully this year as well. Yes. So yeah, I mean, I think those things will help you. I think, yeah, if you structure it that way, I think it's perfectly reasonable, and it'll be able to kind of give you a little bit of a, at least like a framework to view it from, like a lens and a mental perspective to view it from, in a way that helps you long term.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I ask you maybe one or two rather personal questions or about your journey that you have behind you?
You can ask me whatever the fuck you want, bro. Anything.
Perfect. Because since I have the unique possibility to talk to somebody who's doing that for a decade, maybe I can get some little experience nuggets out of your head. For example, if you made some personal changes in your life that benefited your trading, where a where a change in your life has positively, well, influenced the trading that was not a trading decision.
Yes. So the thing I'm gonna say sounds really, really basic, but I do not want you to hear this and think that it's just okay, yeah, everybody knows that, this and that. I want you to think of this as a very profound, philosophical, important piece of information, because it really is. And as simple as it may sound, the simple things are usually the things that work the best. Occam's razor says the simplest explanation and solution is usually the best. And so, with this being said, dude, getting better sleep makes my brain like 5 to 10 times more effective and sharp. Like last night, I slept fucking amazing, and I sleep really well, maybe like 80% of the nights out of the week. Like 4 or 5 nights out of the week, I sleep pretty amazing. 2 to 3 nights out of the week, it's shit, and I can tell the next day. And so, my question to you will be, if you were only able to respond with one of two answers, the first answer is generally good, the second answer is generally bad. I will ask you the question: how would you rate your sleep quality right now?
Generally bad.
Wow. Okay, bro. So, not getting enough sleep and also getting elevated levels of cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, and anxiety, that reduces your decision making ability anywhere from 30 to 50%. The FBI has proved this, and CIA has proved this in interrogation. If you want to make someone think shittier, not be able to be self aware, lose all their confidence, and start acting like a little bitch and giving up a ton of information and making stupid decisions that are not in their best interest, you deny them a good amount of sleep, right? You deny them quality sleep. And then you also just let them sit there being anxious, not knowing what's going to happen. And they will make shittier decisions consistently. So, this is a very well known statistic. So, if you were sitting here in the interrogation room of your little home office there with your guitar behind you and TradingView pulled up in front of you, a guaranteed way to make shittier decisions that are more emotional and that impact your trading more negatively, you can guarantee yourself a shittier state of affairs by just getting shittier sleep. So one of the biggest things in my personal life that I've done to impact my professional and career life and trading in my business is to just get better sleep. So what does this mean? It means in the evening to have a wind down routine. I literally have alarms on my phone. I'll show you the alarms. Well, my alarms are here on my phone, which is my camera right now. So I can't. But like I have alarms on my phone that are set for around 8 p.m., which sounds kind of early to a lot of people because most of these motherfuckers go to bed at like 10 p.m. to midnight sometimes. My alarm goes off at 8 p.m. and then I have a 1 hour window where, okay, I have to be in bed by 9 p.m. I'm not perfect. Some nights I go to bed. I'm not going to lie, bro. 9:15 p.m. Sometimes I'm 15 minutes late or maybe 30 minutes late. But that alarm goes off. And around 8 p.m., I know, okay, I need to start winding down now. So it means I have to stop using my fucking nicotine. I use my nicotine pouches every day to keep me working. I can't have coffee after like maybe 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And I know around 8 p.m., that's when I have to start winding down. So what I do personally is I have a little wind down routine where like I'll play Minecraft on my computer. I'll go fuck around, like punch some trees or like go into some caves or build my little base and village in Minecraft. I'll just do something mindless that is not stimulating for the last hour of the day, or I'll read on ChatGPT. I love things about history. I love things about like just learning new things. And so I'll ask ChatGPT about some random stuff I want to learn about. and I'll just talk to Chat GPT or something, or I'll sit with my wife and talk. That's always great. You and I are lucky to have good wives. We can just sit and visit with our wives.
Absolutely.
But the last hour of the day is a transition from the high dopamine, high energy, psychopathic, schizophrenic workday into the more calm, relaxed, like dopamine fueled and serotonin modulated evening, which then transitions you. It kind of ushers you in as a midwife from the crazy like workday into a more relaxed state. So that way you can wind down. And then by the time you're supposed to be getting in bed, which you can decide for yourself, like 8 p.m. is kind of early for a lot of people. 9 to 10 p.m., in my opinion, is a sweet spot. Anything past 10 p.m., there's a reason there's a saying here in the United States. This is nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Nothing good happens after 10 p.m. usually, like usually speaking. You think shittier, you're sleepy, and then if you go to bed later, then you wake up later in the morning. And even if you wake up early at like 5 a.m. after going to bed at 10 p.m., you never feel as good as if you would have gone to bed a little bit earlier. And so what I say is like have a set time where you are just going to be in bed laying down by that time. But you can't be playing like Battlefield 6 and like, killing, and you've got like a 40 to 20 KD. So you got like a 2-to-1 KD in Battlefield 6 and you're killing it. You're doing fucking amazing and it's high dopamine. And then, oh shit, the time went off. I have to go to bed. So you turn off Battlefield and then you lay down after having just killed all those people in the video game and you're trying to like relax. You can't do that. You have to usher it in with that transition. So that's why, since I'm a fucking human like everyone else and I can't moderate or control myself with self control in a way like most people, I just have to use alarms on my phone to remind me, hey, it's 8 p.m. for the next hour. This is your wind down time. And I know that when I don't listen to that when it's 8 p.m. and I'm like, fuck it, dude. I'm gonna pop in another nicotine pouch. Fuck it. Like I'm gonna watch this like documentary about World War II and watch like people being killed and all the sadness and its emotional heaviness. I know for a fact when I do all that, and especially when I eat late at night, like if I'm eating like a fucking pizza at 9 p.m., which is just silly, yeah, like your body, like it increases your core body temperature, makes it harder for you to get into REM sleep. All these things fuck up your sleep. When I do those things, I patently, notably, and significantly feel worse the next morning. And my decisions are like not as good. I'm in a little bit like I can still modulate myself, but like I'm just nowhere near as sharp. My thoughts do not come as quickly. My trading decisions do not come as easily. And I'm way more like emotionally weird. Like I'm just like not as like stable for the first couple hours of the day. And then I'm needing a coffee around, like noon or 1 or 2 p.m. to keep myself awake. I don't feel like going to the gym as much. I have to force myself. And when I go, my workouts are never as good. Quite literally, sleeping can improve every aspect of your life. And I think it is one of actually, honestly, I think it is the most important thing that you can do for your health. And a lot of studies support this. Also, that guy Brian Johnson, who's trying to live forever on YouTube,
Oh
he
yeah.
he's done a lot of research. I think he says the same shit too. I think he says sleeping is like the best thing you can do for your health. He's one of the people that I watched to learn about all this, but also just from personal experience the past half a decade. So this is a long-winded way of saying, Oliver, you need to fix your fucking sleep. You need to make it to where, like, you can say, whenever I ask you the question a month or two from now, Oliver, how was your sleep? You can say relatively good. And if you're able to say that, then that means most nights out of the week, you're getting to bed at a reasonable time. You have a transitional wind down period that leads up to that. And then whenever you do lay down, you lay next to your wife, you're feeling good. You maybe get a little bit freaky. And then of course that's like it's a release of dopamine right before you go to bed, dopamine, oxytocin, which can kind of like calm you down even more and help you go to sleep. And then whenever you actually fall asleep, potentially by 9:30 or 10 p.m., right? Because sometimes, we're not going to fall asleep immediately laying down. You're able to get to sleep. And then not only are you doing that and you're getting plenty of sleep, but you could wake up the next morning earlier when no one can fuck with you in the morning. Your boss can't fuck with you. Your wife can't even fuck with you, dude. Because if you're awake at 4 or 5 a.m. and you're like ready to go, right? Your brain will wake up naturally after roughly 2 REM cycles. So it's like you go to pre-REM, you fall asleep, you get into REM sleep, then you have that natural increase in cortisol, which kind of wakes you up maybe in the middle of the night. You go pee or something, you come back and then you lay down and then you go to sleep for another REM cycle, which is like usually 3 to 4 hours on average. Getting about 8 hours of sleep every night for most people. Some people can live off 6 to 7 hours. Some people need 9 to 10 hours, as ridiculous as it sounds. But science says about 8 hours is what you should go for in general. Like if it's anywhere within the bounds of that. If you get 3 hours of sleep, you're going to feel like shit. If you get 10 hours of sleep, you might feel good, but most people are not going to be able to get 10 hours of sleep a day because there's more important things to be doing than sleeping that long, like 10 to 12 hours a day. Unless you used meth for like the past 3 days, then cool, like whatever. So if you're doing that and getting about 8 hours of sleep per night, you will wake up feeling a lot better. And I have just explained why this is important. the things that you can do to actually optimize your sleep better, and then how it will likely impact not only your trading life, but your personal life as well. So that's my response. Long winded as usual, but trying to give you all the context and information. What is your response, my good friend?
I have a little question to that actually, because when you hold trades overnight, do you feel like it is influencing your sleep quality?
No, but that's only just because I already accept whenever I get into the trade, like this shit could hit stop loss overnight, and that's
Mhm.
okay. That's gonna happen sometimes. And so I just tell myself, like, that's the reason I'm using a stop loss. Would it impact my sleep if I had a very large, like, say, 75 lot position on a volatile pair like GBP JPY, where I'm like, dude, if it goes against me, I could wake up and this could be in like $100,000 drawdown. Yes, I would lose sleep. So what do? I decide what I want to risk for the trade. I put the stop loss at an area in which the trade will be invalidated, which, like you've seen in the free training in my YouTube videos and here at Mission FX in the Nick's Trades group, you've seen I just put the stop loss below the zone. If it breaks the zone and then it hits the stop, so be it. That is what the stop loss is there for. It's there for emergencies, for whenever price just runs through the zone, cracks it, and then hits the stop loss. Cool. That's okay. That's what it's for. I sleep like a baby, knowing that I've already accepted the risk. If I'm finding myself unable to sleep because I'm scared, like, oh, what if it hits the stop loss that I've already decided I'm okay losing on this trade? That's usually a sign that you need to like not be in a trade, or at least not being in that specific trade. Holy shit, I'm getting alerts on TradingView right now. Anyway, so that's my response is no, it does not impact my sleep because I'm using a stop loss. And most importantly, because I've already accepted that, yeah, it could go to the stop loss overnight. Big fucking deal. That happens. That's what the stop loss is for. You should be thankful when you wake up in the morning and a trade hit the stop loss because it prevented you from potentially having lost more. And it means that you're controlling risk and you're being a responsible adult instead of a kicking and screaming 10-year-old.
True. The answer is simple, getting more sleep, but it has a big impact apparently. So that is not a point definitely to focus on. Because I feel that getting more irritated when something is not working on the charts or missing something when tired. So I feel that. But I never thought about that. Yeah, more sleep is nice, but that it has such an impact on my decisions. So maybe that could be also key point of turning everything around from break even to positive actually. Very
Yeah.
nice. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
One more question or
One more question.
yeah, can I ask you one more question?
We'll stay on this call as long as you need until we have completely solved all the fucking problems that you think you have in your life right now. Yeah.
I appreciate that a lot. You have no idea. Because for the past 2 years, I want to make this work, and there's no option for it not to work. There's just no other option. So that's why I'm almost phonetically watching charts and studying myself. Another thing would be um, also more about your experience. Like, if you look back and you would say, like, the three biggest problems you had that kept you from actually making money, what would they be and how did you overcome this or overcome them?
Yeah, I would just say there's not three of them. There's not five of them. There's one main thing that was like 95% of all the problems, and it was emotional regulation. It was just knowing I was going to have win streaks and losing streaks and not crying like a little pussy bitch whenever I would get losing streaks and not being too scornful in my misfortune and not being too triumphant in my good fortune. So basically, like, people say, oh, it's stoicism. You just need to be more stoic. You need to be more neutral. Um, the emotional regulation has done so many beautiful things, not just for my trading career, but my personal life as well. Like, I'm a person who naturally has like higher levels of like anxiety. I've learned
Hmm.
how to manage that over the course of last year because I had a lot of really shitty things happen to me last year that fucked me up mentally. And learning to regulate my emotions, especially over the past half a decade, a little more, like 6 years, has done leaps and bounds more for everything in my life, including trading, than any other single thing. So some people will say like Nick, the biggest problem I have is where do I put my stop loss? It's like, sure, like maybe some people actually need that, a small percentage of people. Most people need more emotional regulation. So solving that, we've already talked about it here in this call how I did that, but that is the single most important thing I've ever done. And a lot of those things that you'll notice that I use to optimize my emotional state, that like it's under the umbrella of everything else. Like, so getting more sleep, what the fuck does that mean? That's a form of emotional regulation. You get more sleep, you feel better whenever you wake up the next morning, you make better decisions, you go to the gym, you feel like a true alpha male status, bro. You feel like a red pilled alpha male, which this is all satire, of course, but like, you feel fucking better, you make better decisions, your emotional state's better, and then you're not as irritable, right? You're not you don't treat your wife shittier if you get annoyed about something, right? You don't make a stupid decision in trading because you're like, I lost this last trade last night, so I'm gonna risk triple on the next trade. I'm gonna fucking show the market who's boss, and the market's gonna kick your ass like 80% of the time if you're thinking that way. Everything falls under the umbrella of emotional regulation for me. I cannot speak for other people, but I do know that a lot of people, like a huge percentage of people, emotional regulation would solve most of their problems, not just in trading, but in life. So I'd say that's probably been the biggest thing for me to solve. And I've already explained a lot in this call already how I got past that.
So far, the biggest changes then for your success were actually outside of trading. For example, getting more sleep and regulating your emotions, which all have a positive benefit for the trading.
Yeah.
Because the technical part is really easy to get down. I mean, after getting into support resistance, it's really not that difficult to look at the chart at the level and be like, it seems like price bounced here and just put a target and the stop loss there. That's really not the problem. It's more like what happens with myself or with yourself when the trade is playing or right before it's playing. So would you say everything outside of trading is more important than actually the technical part of it?
As weird as that may sound, for me being somebody who is a trading guru, who has a following on social media, and who sells a subscription product to teach people how to trade, yes, I would say the most important things you can do for your trading is actually the things that are adjacent to trading, which is where the core fundamental aspect of all your decision making come from. So emotional regulation, better sleep, working out. Even if you just walk, even if you just go on a fucking 30-minute walk a day, if that's the bare minimum you can do, even if you are a fat fuck and you struggle to lose weight, you can get your ass outside to go on a 30-minute walk because it'll get your heart rate up. That releases things like dopamine. It modulates your serotonin levels as well. People can even say like when you go on a jog or a run, you get that like kind of runner's high. It's just your body releasing a bunch of chemicals to try to counteract all the stress hormones that are released from acute stress, which is like exercise and elevating your heart rate. You feel better, you think better. Yeah, so exercise. I have a relatively clean diet. I don't really have a lot of sugar. I don't really have a lot of processed carbs. I just do things like brown rice and like oats and quinoa and things like that. Um, I have a high protein, high fat diet. I try not to have as much saturated fat because I got my blood work back like a month ago and my LDL cholesterol is kind of high. So it's like kind of like really high. So I need to like modulate that a little bit
Oh,
better. But a clean diet, basic exercise. I don't mean you have to go to the gym, be a fucking powerlifting, bodybuilding, wild person, but basic exercise, a relatively clean diet. You can still have a strudel sometimes when you go to a coffee shop in Germany if you want. Perfectly fine, maybe like once a week. um Modulating things that make you feel like shit. There's probably personal things in your life that are like really personal that fuck with you mentally. So figuring out how to regulate those things in such a way where you accept them, you can shrug your shoulders and say like, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of my job, but I get to choose whether I'm going to go to work feeling like shit all day and telling myself all these shit that makes me feel bad. Or you can say, hey, my job is a stepping stone to be able to get capital so that way I can support myself in the meantime. So me and my wife don't die until I get profitable trading. So then you can actually go to work thinking, you know what, I'm thankful for this job. I could be in like sub-Saharan Africa right now or some other third world country where there's no job to even work, even if you want to work, and then you'd be starving to death, having to walk like 5 miles to go get water from a shitty well that's poisoned with all sorts of bullshit and pathogens. Like you're lucky you live in a relatively first world developed country like Germany, and I'm lucky I live here in the United States where we have access to things like shelter and water and clothing, and where you just have the luxury of being able to lay in a fucking bed every night. Like there's a good percentage of the world, in let's say the undeveloped world, that they don't even have a bed to lay in, right? So you lay on the fucking ground and you sleep, and it's just so. I mean, you and I are very lucky we get the chance to do this, um, and so I'd say all the things that are adjacent to trading in your personal life, if you fix those, a lot of the other problems in your life start to either become like less prevalent, right? So they're less impactful and less like the texture and sharpness of those things matter a lot less, and it doesn't fuck with you as much. And then trading falls under that umbrella. Yeah, of course, you're going to make better trading decisions if you eat healthy, you exercise a little bit, moderate amount, and then you get good sleep. So I would say yes, like the things adjacent to trading are probably more important than the trading itself. Like you've already pointed out, when you're trading, it's yes, it's fucking simple. And a lot of people hate me for saying that. They're like, Nick, trading's not easy. And I'm like, I don't say trading's easy very often, but I will say for me trading is easy. But the reason it's easy for me is because I have emotional regulation to a healthy degree, and the only reason that comes is from all the things that are adjacent to trading in my personal life, optimizing sleep, having a good relationship with the people around me, not having toxic people in my life. If somebody's acting retarded, I just stop talking to them. No big deal, including if it's family. There's some people that are family members of mine that I don't even talk to because it's too
Agree.
emotionally taxing. I don't have quote unquote friends or acquaintances in my life that drain my energy or that I don't really get a lot of value from. Things should be mutually beneficial, whether it's your sleep, whether it's your relationship with your spouse, whether it's, with your kids and everything else like that. Things have to be moderated. So it is a resounding yes. The things that are adjacent to trading in your personal life, those things are, in my opinion, probably more important than just trying to like get the strategy right. Because even if you got the strategy perfect, dude, if you're getting shit sleep and you're not having a healthy diet and you're not working out and you're like overweight and feeling like shit, this is not to talk down to people who are overweight or people who are unhealthy or people who don't get shit. It's a way of pointing out in a way that, hey, as a matter of fact, if you fix these things, you would feel better and you would make objectively better decisions. We know this from statistics. We know this from data. We know all the metrics. And if you fix those things, then yeah, you'll probably feel better and you make less shitty trading decisions.
Maybe as a side hustle, you could be life coach then too, because that advice is really good. I've focused too much on the trading part, I think. That's why my questions are mostly, or actually all of them, just on the more on the emotional side. Because, like you said, technical part is easy, but then getting yourself in line. Never thought about fixing my diet or getting more sleep or, in fact, some more exercise to improve my trading, to improve my health. Yes, but never thought of that would improve my trading. So maybe that is actually the key point of, well, coming from break even to making small profit at least. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, of
That
course.
is that is very helpful. And if I may ask, just the very last thing, if you would be in my shoes right now, or if you would talk to your younger self, what advice would you give yourself?
Mm, I've if I could talk to my younger self, yeah, there's some things that I fucked up, but the only reason I learned the answer to solving those things that were fucked up was by going through it to experience. So I can't really say I regret anything super significant over the course of my life because everything that I've been through has kind of helped me learn and helped me optimize things in a way. What I would say is very important, and this is for anyone, regardless of whatever stage of life a person's in. I would say that defining what the fuck you want out of your life and then putting in the
Hmm.
prerequisite kind of components in that equation that's going to get you to that result most likely, right? Life can happen. You could do everything right and then tomorrow you get hit by a bus in Frankfurt, Germany and you die. Okay, yeah, that sucks. but like
Hopefully
but
not.
but like getting the equation right, like you can do things that you can control that can significantly impact the outcomes of things, right? So yes, we should be detached from our outcomes in our life, but we can still kind of say, you know what? I would like to not be fucking broke my whole life. I would love to be able to be trading profitably and make just enough money to sustain me and my family. I would like to be healthy. I would like to get good sleep. I would like to exercise a reasonable amount. I would like to, eat relatively good. And then all of those things are going to align with like, getting profitable trading. And then now you have more freedom. Now you can further optimize things and you can do all sorts of crazy shit. But the advice I would give, not just to my younger self, but to everyone, is to define the things that are important to you in life. Define the outcomes that you want to work towards and optimize for. Basically, like setting goals, like writing them down, even if it's just in the notes section of your phone. Like, yeah, I would like this to happen. And be real specific about what that thing is. That way, you have a kind of a clear way to work towards it. And it's the difference between saying like be a badass versus writing down in your phone like um, getting profitable trading within 1 year. And in the first 3 months, I'm going to do this. And the next 3 months, I'll do this. And then in the next 3 months, this. And the next 3 months, this. And then we'll see where I'm at in a year. Then you can reanalyze and kind of change the goalpost and reoptimize things. But being very clear about what things you value in life and what your goals are and what you're doing to optimize for, set those things up in such a way that they're clearly defined, and then take steps on a daily basis that's basically like a plan or an equation or it's kind of a systematic way to do the things that are necessary that are likely to at least get you closer to that outcome, even if you don't know for sure, right? You could spend the next year trading, dude, and you might not get profitable. And statistically, that's the case for most people. And that's shit. That's horrible. It took me like almost 2 years, damn near, to get profitable. And I was dedicating my entire waking life to that. Outside of my job and sleeping, all I did was learn trading. Like it was fucking crazy. And it still took me almost 2 years. So again, like the biggest piece of advice I'd give to people, like including my younger self and anybody else, is define what it is most important to you in life that you want to work towards. These are called goals. And then set up kind of just a very basic, rough draft, systematic way to do things on a daily basis to get you closer to those goals. They did a study a couple decades ago where they tried to figure out what makes people most satisfied, happy, and fulfilled in life. And so people had a little buzzer on them, and the buzzer would go off at random times, and people all over the world would have to write down what they were doing and rate their happiness level. The people that were the most happy, satisfied, and fulfilled were people who had a clearly defined goal and were working towards it long term. And you can look this study up. You can find it. There's a lot of specifics obviously that I'm missing because my brain's not like a perfect memory box, but I do look at a lot of like scientific studies, evaluations, metrics, and data. And the statistics suggest that when you have a clearly defined goal and you're working towards it, that is when you're most happiest. And guess what? Not only are you the most happiest, but you're actually getting closer to your fucking goals. And that feels so badass. It is a deeply profound, amazing feeling. It makes you feel like a man. So yeah, have a clearly defined goal, set up steps that you can use to work towards that goal every single day.
That is really good advice, honestly. Thank you very much. All of this, hopefully, will help me to, well, get out of this break even or small loss stage. It was really helpful. Really a lot of insight. I'm very grateful that you even agreed to do that, honestly. After this, I'm gonna go and kiss my wife again because she made it happen.
She's a good woman, man. Is there any other questions you have? Anything else you want to learn
I
about?
don't think so. That was everything that was on my list because technical part I think I got down, but the emotions that we talked about is the main part. And lifestyle changes, apparently, that I didn't know before. I've not even thought about that. And maybe that combination is the key for me, hopefully. Other than that, I don't see where I can really ask anything other than if you have some additional advice or information that you would like to give.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. You take what you've learned here in this call today. You're gonna have the recording here. And then you go and write down some of the shit that you're gonna do to change and optimize your life based on the things we've talked about here in this call, and as well as anything else that is like adjacent in the kind of periphery to the things we talked about. Things that you notice, like, you know what, I could probably really optimize this too. This would make my emotional environment and regulation better, and I could get better results in my life and trading. Write them all down and kind of make just kind of a little daily checklist. Very basic. It doesn't have to be like 16,000 things. It can be like 5 to 10 things, three to five things. It could be whatever. Things that you can do every day to help get you closer to your goals. 1 month from now, you and I will meet again for a 1 hour call and discuss where you were at when we started this and when you came into Mission FX, and then where you're at 30 days from now. And then we will kind of we'll get our fingers in the pulse of which direction you're going. We'll look at the proverbial compass, figuratively, and we will see if you've made progress and then which direction we can continue to optimize it. So we'll meet again 1 month from now. We'll talk about everything for another hour, and then we'll see where you're at. That's the additional piece of information and advice I can provide you.
That sounds amazing, honestly. I've not expected that. I almost fell out of my chair, so damn. I'm surprised. Thank you very much. That would be awesome. I will definitely, starting today, take exactly what we just talked about, put it in perspective. I'm thinking now if I should, for maybe the till the next month, if I should already start applying my intuition, or if I should keep to my one-to-one targets, kind of. What do you think would be more beneficial then?
Well, you have to have the data first. So if anything, you just spend the next month tracking the data, like create the two different columns, like, like
Hmm.
intuition and then outcome. Put in the intuition column, like, okay, I'm going to hold the trade, sure, but I think I should probably close it here. It's a fourth of the way to the stop loss, half the way to the stop. I think I should close it here.
Okay.
So I will quote unquote close it, and then put in that outcome column, like whether or not it was profitable. And then what we could do is next time we can actually go pull up your trading journal and we can look at it together and try to figure out what optimizations we can make. And then but you can still hold the actual trade to the TP or stop loss, but this way, at least a month from now, you actually have the data. It's difficult to make decisions without data because data is the best thing you can use whenever it's available to make decisions. Otherwise, you just kind of have to go with your gut feeling. But intuition can sometimes be wrong if you don't have the data. That's why it's good. If we can collect the data, which we can in trading, we can draw a causal line and at least a highly correlated line between your set of actions and their outcomes. So I'd say track that in your data, and then at the bottom, you probably have a portion of your spreadsheet, and if you not, you should put it below every single trade you've taken at the very bottom, right? And it'll keep getting populated as you go further down your spreadsheet. Have the total P&L in terms of R. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
plus 15R, minus 4R. Track that there for the trades that just hit TP and hit stop loss, and then track the P&L based on what it would have been had you made the decision to manage the trades dynamically using your intuition. And then we'll see which line is better. And if it's worse, that's fine. That's going to happen, right? It's just 1 month of data. But over time, it's likely going to get better and better over the course of maybe like 6 to 12 months. So I would say do that and just track it, hold the trades all the way to the TP stop loss, but start putting in those extra two columns of like, I would close early here, or I would hold this trade, or I would
Hmm.
do this or that. And then track what actually happened. Was it profitable or not profitable? And then put the total P&L in terms of R for you using your intuition under that column at the very bottom of your spreadsheet, and then continue to put the total P&L for just holding the trade to stop loss or take profit, which should roughly like somewhere break even, like plus 5R, minus 5R over enough trades, because it's 50-50. I think it's going to go to the TP or go to the stop loss. But you using your intuition to get the fuck out of losing trades early and holding winning trades a little bit longer, that's where your intuition will come in. And then say after a month or 2 or 3 or 6 months, when your intuition starts being significantly a little more profitable than your actual just holding the TP or stop loss, then you'll know, okay, now I can actually switch to actually, doing it live. Like I'm going to start trading this way and using my intuition, knowing that it's not like me just being an emotional bitch.
Absolutely, I will do that. Perfect. I will absolutely, absolutely do that. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. Thank you very much for this opportunity, honestly. That is a one in a lifetime. If at the end of this year I'm profitable, well, I'm gonna jump out the window. Maybe not because I would like to live, but I'm gonna do something nice.
Yeah, just
Thank you
put a
very much.
just put a mattress on the ground below. That way you don't kill yourself. You jump out the window and feel good.
Something like that. Thank you very much. That was so helpful. And honestly, I've not expected the conversation to go more into lifestyle than or emotions so deep than that has nothing to do with trading. Funny enough, in 2 hours, roughly 2.5 hours, there's a Tony Robbins summit going on, if you know who Tony Robbins is. And we will attend that too. So perfect. More emotional regulation.
Yeah, you're really getting your life and personal development really optimized.
That's what we both focus on. We attended last year a Tony Robbins summit too, actually, I think. Um, we'll try to improve our lives and we try to make it happen because nothing in life was gifted to us. So we try to make a life for ourselves that is worth passing on to our children. So thank you very much. I'm
Abs-
really happy.
Absolutely, my friend. I will upload this to YouTube and you can watch it there.
If you do that, fine by me. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Sweet.
Okay, then. I hope you have a nice evening. What time is it right now?
It's actually, I think we're 6 or 7 hours behind you guys, so it's almost 10 a.m. So over there it's probably what, like 7 hours later, so it's 5 p.m.
Exactly. It's 5 p.m., so 7 hours. You
Yeah.
in Texas, right?
Yep. I got a lot of clients in Europe and Germany and the UK and a couple people from like China and East Asia and Thailand and Japan. So like, yeah, but most of my people are from like English speaking countries. So like a lot of European countries, UK, Australia, Canada, United States.
Very cool. Have you ever thought about visiting Germany or
Yeah,
Europe?
I want to go. Yeah, but my chief operations officer, Stefano Mariani, he lives there in Rome, Italy, right? And then
Ooh,
my other guy who is my chief information officer who manages clients and all of our internal tracking metrics and running the business. He lives there in he's from Germany, so he lives there and his parents are from Germany. They're immigrants from they're Indian, so he's Indian. That's his name,
mm,
Jaraj Singh. But he's very westernized. He's he speaks English and German and a little bit of Hindi, I think. And he is kind of a digital nomad, so he'll go to like he likes Budapest a lot. Um,
beautiful city.
yeah, Budapest, Hungary. He's in Zagreb, Croatia a lot. He loves Zagreb. He went to Bucharest, Romania at one point. He thought that was okay. And then he went to like Ibiza in Spain. He loves Spain.
Ibiza,
Yeah, Ibiza. He
beautiful too.
he went there. He went to I think some places in France. He goes him and Stefan, my other guy, they meet up sometimes. So like Stefan will go to Germany for like a couple days and
Hmm.
hang out with him, or Jiraj will come to Rome and hang out with him a couple times. And then yeah, so he kind of travels around. He was in Medellin, Colombia as well for like almost a month. He almost got the shit beat out of him, got his phone stolen. So I don't think he's going back to Colombia anytime. But yeah, but he stays there in Germany. So I'm well acquainted with the time zone, and I make exceptions to like be able to serve my clients when it's best for them based on their time zone. And then my third guy is a guy here from the United States. He does all my videography and content creation and things like that for YouTube and for socials. So yeah, got like a team of really good employees that have given the better
Very
part
cool.
of half a decade just working for me exclusively full time. And I'm really thankful for them because they're really invested in seeing our clients succeed because they only get paid if we do well as a business. And we only do well as a business if our clients are happy and getting results.
Obviously. Oh, that's very cool. So if you ever should come to Germany or Europe, you need a place to stay, just shoot a word.
I will come to Germany and we will get Wiener Schnitzel sandwiches.
Oh, absolutely. You gotta try the classic Wiener Schnitzel, or probably like a bratwurst or like a pretzel or something. It's the classic. But then again, German beer is probably the best. So I would point you to the beer. Try the different beers. In every location of Germany, they have local breweries that make the beer differently. So you gotta make a road trip across Germany.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have a drunk trip across, stumbling across the Deutschland, drinking beer.
Can
It's
only recommend. Very cool. It was really nice talking to you. It
cool.
was kind of interesting to see the talking to the face that you saw on YouTube for 2 years now in person. It's really weird, but also really awesome.
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of people think like, on YouTube I'm different than I am in real life, but if there's one thing I detest more about humanity than anything else, it is the lack of authenticity you will see with people. People put up a front, they try to make you think that they're someone they're not. They try to act all cool and shit. And then when you meet them one on one, things are just different. And that is something really weird. So I try to be my authentic self on YouTube. Some people hate me for it, and the people that love me for it are there. And fortunately for me, a little more people like me than not, and that's cool. But I'm my authentic self. I don't try to pander to an audience. I am myself. So yeah, I like having human interactions, and I like being real, being authentic.
I think it's really commendable. And speaking from a viewer's perspective, that makes me, for example, trust you. Because all the other people that you stumble across on YouTube, you just put in trading and you see all these gurus and professionals or so-called professionals. The way they already look is always very sketchy. So from everything I watched, the moment I found your channel was like, he seems like a normal person actually. So maybe he's right in what he's doing. So just from a viewer's perspective, I think you're doing everything right in that matter.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's worked. It's worked for me and my clients and my business and my team for we've been in business 8 years now. Yes, it's
Wow.
2018. 2018, end of the year, early 2019. So yeah, we're about 8 years, and it's only comes through like the reason we're still here and still standing and haven't collapsed is because we do our best to like give our best. We make sure that clients are happy, but like people have to trust you in order to. Like, we charge $3,000 for one of our coaching programs, and 3,000 US dollars is a lot of money. And even the fucking subscription, $250 a month is expensive as fuck. And we do that because it kind of weeds out people that are like trading $100 account. Like if you're charging like 25 bucks for a subscription or 50 bucks for a subscription, it attracts the kind of people that I don't believe are in the best position to be trading. But when someone invests a lot of money, $250 is a lot per month as a
Yes.
monthly fee.
Oh,
But it allows us to go above and beyond with a smaller group of clients that are paying more, knowing that two things are true. Number one, they're probably more invested in their success because they're putting up a lot of money to be able to work with us, whether it's $3,000 for the one-on-one coaching or whether it's 250 bucks a month for the subscription group. So they're probably more invested in their success. But number two, they probably have a little bit more capital to trade with. So they're more likely to get results anyway. It's difficult for me to justify somebody who has, a $50 trading account and that's all the money they have to trade to join one of my programs and help them somehow make enough money to justify the cost. Like it's not it doesn't work. So yeah, we charge a lot, and for people to pay a lot, they have to really fucking trust us. So I have to be my authentic self and not be a piece of shit. Mm,
Very cool. Thank you very much, Nick. That was very nice, very helpful, honestly. I very much appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
no problem,
Then,
man. I'll talk to you in 30 days.
okay, should I just text you or
Yeah, just text me in Discord in about, just 30 days or so.
all right, okay, will do. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Then have a great day, okay?
You too, man. Go kiss your wife and tell her thank you.
I will go kiss my wife, kiss our sons, and be happy with the day.
Yeah, good shit, bro. All right, talk to you soon. See
All
you,
right.
man.
Yeah. Bye.